Hello guys, welcome to my C1 Advanced CAE Writing Paper video course. I'm Cambridge English teacher Rory, and in this lesson we're going to be focusing on the writing paper, part 2, proposals. So we will look at an example proposal question, and then we'll look at some advice for writing proposals. We will then look at an example proposal answer. We will then critique this proposal answer, look at some examiner's critique of the proposal answer, look at some mistakes from the proposal and how to correct them, and finally we will look at some general tips for writing a proposal. So here is an example proposal question. This has come from the Cambridge English Advanced Handbook for Teachers, which you can access if you go to this web page here. And it's on page 44. And it says, there are plans to demolish an old and unused building in the town where you are a student. You feel that the building should be saved. You decide to write a proposal for the town council, explaining why you think the building should be preserved, suggesting what could be done to modernize it, and saying how the building could benefit the local people. Write your proposal. So, for part 2, I suggest that you take 45 minutes. So that's 5 minutes to plan your work at the beginning, 35 minutes to write, and 5 minutes to check through your work at the end. Let's have a look at some more advice for writing a proposal, which has also come from the Cambridge English Advanced Handbook for Teachers. It says a proposal may be written for a peer group, such as colleagues or club members, or for a supervisor, such as a boss or a college principal. Candidates will be expected to make one or more suggestions, supported by factual information and evaluation, in order to persuade the reader of a course of action. Students should work on functional language for evaluating and for making suggestions, and will need to be able to use a range of persuasive language. So here are some of the key words from this advice. These are the really important words that we need to try and address in our proposal writing. So, what I'd like you to do now is to type this web address here into your internet browser. For example, Google Chrome, or Mozilla Firefox, or Safari, or Internet Explorer, etc. Type this web address in and go to page 48. So pause this video now, go to page 48 of this web address, and when you've done that, press play. Okay, hopefully you've done that. And now what I'd like you to do is to read this example proposal, but ignore the examiner comments at the bottom of the page for now. Just read the example proposal. But what I'd also like you to do is to write down, to copy down this table on this slide onto a piece of paper. And while you're reading the proposal, I would like you to give the proposal a mark from 1 to 5, 1 being bad and 5 being good, for each of the 4 marking criteria: content, communicative achievement, organisation and language. So give them each a mark from 1 to 5, and also write down your comments, what you think, why they are good or why they are bad for each of these marking criteria. Some of the good points and some of the bad points. And take as long as you want to do this. The more detail you write down in the comments section, the better. So, pause this video now, copy down this table, and then complete the table with the writing from this web address on this page. And when you're ready, press play. Okay, hopefully you've done that. Now what we can do is we can have a look at the examiner comments below. And the best thing for you to do is to pause this video again, compare these marks and these comments with your own, and see if they are similar or see if they are different to what you thought. And also underline the most important points in the comments. This will be really useful in helping you to realize what the examiners are looking for. And if you can get into the mind of an examiner, then it will be really helpful when you are writing your proposal. So pause this video now, read this information in detail, and compare it with your table on your sheet of paper. And when you are ready, press play. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. And now what we can do is we can have a look at the bits which I thought were really important points from these comments. So even though the communicative achievement is not great, it says the register and tone are appropriate, and the use of headings is suitable in this context. Okay, so the way this person has written, the language they have used, is appropriate for their target reader. And also, the target reader is fully informed because all of the content is relevant. The text has been well organized and coherent, easy to follow, with a variety of cohesive devices and more complex organizational patterns used. That's good, using a variety and complex. Also, there has been a range of vocabulary used appropriately. And finally, a range of simple and complex grammatical forms. So, your sentences don't need to be lengthy. They can be short and simple. But if you can use some complex grammar and complex vocabulary with a good range of linking words or cohesive devices, and the overall passage addresses the target reader and is written in an appropriate way for the target reader, and it's well organized, you are going to get good marks in the exam. Now, when I read this proposal, I noticed some mistakes with the language. Could be to do with grammar or spelling, or that it's difficult to understand. So I've written down some of these mistakes. And what I'd like you to do is to pause this video now and try to find the mistakes in these sentences on this page and to correct the mistakes. So pause this video now, try to correct the mistakes, and when you're ready, press play. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. And now what we can do is we can have a look at the corrections. So in the first sentence, come through is not the right vocabulary to be using the letter. I would say, I am writing this letter. In the next sentence, destruction is not the right type of word. We need to use a verb, which is to destroy. To not destroy. Because the not destruction doesn't make sense. Say to not destroy the municipal. In the third sentence we need the article the. We normally put the before a superlative, the best, the worst, the biggest. And we can see the biggest in the next sentence, the biggest and most luxurious public building. This is a good sentence as well because we don't need to repeat the word the before most. And that shows that we know when to omit words if we can. And that's a good thing to show the examiner. If you know that a word isn't necessary in a sentence and you don't need to repeat it, then don't. Biggest and most luxurious public building. The word luxurious is spelled like this. And again in the next sentence, destructing is not the right verb. We need to say destroying. The following sentence absolutely has an E between the T and the L. Some painting and repairing to the walls and floors with S's because it's plural. We need to say the best something would be. The best with a noun, and we can use, for example, the word addition here. The best addition would be. And we normally say to take something into consideration. Into. To take something into consideration. Okay. So let's have a think about some final questions with proposals. Should the language be formal or informal? Well, this depends on who the target reader is. If it's your colleague or one of your peers, maybe it can be slightly more informal, but most of the time it will need to be formal, and it will need to be to someone who's your boss, for example. So it does depend on the target reader, but more often it will need to be formal. And if it's to your colleague, it shouldn't be really informal. You should still write as if you're in a business mentality. So you should still write in a formal way. Are there paragraphs? Yes, there are. Paragraphs are good to use for every writing that you do. And introductions and conclusions are also always important. So headings can be used for different points of a proposal. So if you have a main point that you want to address, you can put a heading or a little title for this. But not necessarily in every proposal you write, but in some they might be appropriate, as we saw in the example in this lesson. So, for homework, what I would like you to do is to write your own answer to this question from this video lesson. You can also find another writing question for a proposal at this web address here. And if you send these writings to questions@studentlanguages.com, then I will mark this writing and give you feedback based on the official marking criteria, if I have time. And I will then put this on my website and let you know where you can find it. And you can see some past sample proposals that students have sent me by going to this web address here. And finally, for homework, you should read the Cambridge English Advanced Handbook for Teachers. If you haven't already read this document, it's a really useful document for every part of the C1 Advanced CAE exam. So I really recommend this document. If you would like to book live lessons with me to practice this or another part of the exam, you can write to me at admin@studentlanguages.com and I will get back to you with information about my lessons. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video lesson, and in the next video lesson we're going to be focusing on reviews. So I'll show you a review question, some advice for writing a review answer. You will critique this answer, and then we'll look at some examiner critique of this answer. We'll correct some mistakes from the example answer, and finally we'll look at some extra tips for writing reviews. So I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, guys. I've been Cambridge English teacher Rory from studentlanguages.com. See you in the next lesson. Bye bye.